When the Google Home Max was released, JBL quietly released their JBL Link 500 smart speaker. And basically, the Link 500 does the same thing as the Google Home Max. It's a smart speaker that's all about sound. So if you're considering a smart speaker for your home, are you better off with the Google's offering or something from a third party? Let's find out. JBL's Link series lineup now consists of 4 different speakers. There's the Link 10 and the Link 20, which are kind of like voice assistant enabled JBL Flip 4s, which also have built-in batteries. And then there's the Link 300 and the Link 500, which don't have built-in batteries. And just like the Google Home Max, the Link 500 currently costs $400, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes on sale here and there. Design-wise, the JBL Link 500 is slightly larger than the Google Home Max. It also has the same fabric outer shell that's pretty synonymous with other JBL speakers, and it comes in 2 colors, black or white. Unlike the Google Home Max, which has a touch-sensitive touch bar on the top, which only allow you to adjust your volume and play or pause your music, the Link 500 has a few more buttons on the top that allow you to do a little more than the Max. More importantly, it has a dedicated button so you can activate Google Assistant, something that I don't understand why the Max doesn't have. And if you double press the play pause button, you can skip a track directly from the speaker, something that again, the Max can't do, even though it's pretty simple. The Link 500 also has a dedicated Bluetooth pairing button, which does come in handy if the Link 500 isn't connected to Wi-Fi and if you just want to use a Bluetooth connection instead. And finally, there's a mic mute button.
The mic is muted.
On the front of the speaker, you'll also find the white LED notification lights that light up when Google is listening to you, just like the Max. And on the bottom, you'll also find a Wi-Fi indicator light. And like I mentioned in my Link 10 and Link 20 video, I feel this light is completely unnecessary. Unless there's a problem with the Wi-Fi connection, there's no need to constantly keep this light on. Even the Google Home Max doesn't have this useless and annoying light. Another thing I don't like about the Link 500 is the lack of ports. There's no aux jack and there's no USB Type-C port like the Max. For me, it would have been a no-brainer to include these ports on the Link 500. And something I really want to point out is the weight difference. The Link 500 weighs in at 7.7 pounds, while the Google Home Max weighs in at a hefty 12 pounds. But aside that, Google Assistant performance on the Link 500 is just as accurate and just as fast as any other Google Home speaker. The Link 500 picks up your voice from various distances just as well, and inquiries are processed just as fast. Hey Google, what's the current temperature in New York City?
In New York City right now, it's 21.
Hey Google, what's the current price of Bitcoin?
1 BTC is approximately 14,720 United States dollars and 15 cents.
Okay, now let's talk about what really matters. Sound. You may know by now that the Google Home Max is rocking dual 4.5-inch woofers and dual 0.7-inch tweeters, whereas the JBL Link 500 has dual 3.5-inch woofers, dual 0.8-inch tweeters, and it has an exposed passive radiator on the back that really moves when the bass really gets going. Okay, first off, the Google Home Max gets slightly louder than the JBL Link 500 at max volume, but only by a few decibels. At max volume, both of these speakers live in the low 80s decibel range, and they both suffer relatively the same amount of sound distortion. So if loudness is your main priority, then both of these speakers perform relatively the same. Like I've said in past videos, the Google Home Max has a V-shaped sound signature. There's a lot of emphasis on the bass and on the highs, but the vocals and mids are a little pushed back. Whereas the JBL Link 500 has a more even sound signature, but with an emphasis on the vocals. It also has a good amount of bass, but the bass is not as punchy as the Google Home Max, and the lows don't resonate as much as the Max either. Although both of these speakers do sound really good, the sound on the Max is much fuller. You can literally feel the music with the Max, and as a result, it's more fun to listen to. But the Google Home Max is definitely geared towards people who listen to pop, hip-hop, dance, R&B, or rap with a strong emphasis on the bass. If you're somebody who loves bass, then the Google Home Max is great. But if you prefer a flatter sound signature, then you'll be better off with the JBL Link 500. But if you're building out a smart home with Google Assistant in mind, it is a great thing to have options when it comes to hardware. But keep in mind, third-party hardware might mean delays when it comes to the newest features. First off, with the JBL smart speakers, you can't make phone calls like you would with either of the Google Home smart speakers. Hey Google, call GameStop.
Sorry, I can't make calls yet.
Hey Google, call GameStop.
Calling GameStop.
Thank you for calling GameStop, where we have the best selection and deals in video games, consoles, and collectibles.
Hey Google, hang up. You also can't use the broadcast feature, and the JBL Link 500 doesn't allow you to adjust the EQ like you can on the Max. Hopefully, JBL smart speakers and all other third-party Google Assistant smart speakers will add new Google Home features shortly after Google releases them, because I would hate to see the same type of fragmentation Android suffered when it was first released. Although I do like the JBL Link 10 and the Link 20 because they sound much better than the Google Home, if you're trying to decide between the Google Home Max and the JBL Link 500, I think you're much better off with the Google Home Max unless you're not a fan of the V-shaped sound signature it has to offer. I personally think it looks better than the JBL Link 500, and using Google's own hardware means you'll have access to the newest features as soon as they drop. But like I said in my initial review, I would like to see Google add some extra tap functionality to the Max so you can control your music playback and tap to activate Google Assistant. Is that too much to ask for? Hey, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps out more than you realize. For more product reviews and deal alerts, check out jimcaddy.net. If you want to support the channel, pick up a shirt, and I'll catch you next time.